Good morning. It is the weekend, Saturday morning on the Erie Canal here in upstate New York. Sun is shining, so what better time than now to do a wee Wednesday Blether. Good morning. We are on an independent cycle path. It's crushed limestone. It's kind of okay to cycle on. It's definitely not pavement, but it's still cool. So since last time we have been to Niagara Falls. Niagara Falls was absolutely special. I had no idea that you could get to almost touching where the water falls off the rocks. So that was a fun time. And we also went to St. Catherine's and saw the locks on the Wayland Canal, which I really enjoyed, and had numerous visits to Tim Hortons, which any Canadian will know exactly what I was talking about. So that was also cool. We took our bicycles into the bicycle shop in London, Ontario, and while we were there we spotted that my rear rack was broken, or rear carrier. The aluminium weld had snapped off. It was the Saturday afternoon before the Labor Day long weekend holiday, and so I had to buy a new one and get that installed. Now, it's been quite a adventurous journey since we left London. Our friends dropped us back off at Port Stanley, and we did 3 long days, all in a row, perhaps 100 to 120 kilometers. The first one, we're in Fort Ricey, I think, near Port Dover, and well, we were near there, and a man, well, actually, we've been trying to work out where to have lunch and where we could spend the night, and we knew that there was rain coming, and so we prayed for another, well, retired gentleman to come on a bicycle, like the week before, and no sooner had I finished praying than a retired gentleman on a bicycle came riding down the road. This time his name wasn't Jim, it was John. And he stopped and asked us if he could help us, and we said, well, we're looking for a picnic table to cook on, and a place to sleep. And he said, well, you can sleep at my place. He was part of Warm Showers, but we didn't know that. And so he gave us directions to his home, which meant we could also cook our food there. And because of the Labor Day long weekend in London, we couldn't get our bike serviced and our gears and brakes and all that tuned up, but it turns out that this guy was also a bicycle mechanic, and so he serviced our bikes for us and then didn't charge us, which was naughty of him. And also they had hair clippers, so I managed to get a haircut, and we had our evening meal with them as well, so that was really nice. And then the next day, cycling east along Lake Erie was absolutely beautiful. Morning. Just right on the lake. Saw some, they call them water spouts. They're like tornadoes on the water that suck the water up, but they're big honkers. And so really gorgeous cycling along there. A lot of it's private land, but we stopped and asked the gentleman if we could make a cup of coffee and sit on his deck, and he said sure, and then I kind of asked him, well, actually, could you boil some water for us and stick it in our thermos? And he said sure. And then eventually, gosh, it's like Pitt Street up here, there's so many people. Eventually he, which means 4, eventually he came back with 2 coffee cups and his own thermos full of coffee for us, and sat down on the deck and and chatted to us. It's always lovely to meet these people. Sometimes you actually want your space, but it was lovely chatting to them. And so we rode further along the way, and then I sat down and finished my chapter of the book again on the lake, which was nice. And then we carried on cycling and cycling and cycling and cycling. Morning. On your left. Morning. And I can't remember where the place was called, but hello Sharon.
Hi.
But we couldn't find a place to sleep, and we asked some no can do people, but they were kind enough to ring up the bike shop, and I needed to go to a bike shop because I'm looking for new shoes. And the guy in the bike shop, I wish I remember the town, because it was a really good bike shop. Yeah, can't remember. What was that bike shop that we stopped at where we stayed at the B&B, Sharon? What was the town? Port Colborne. Okay, so go to the bike shop there. And we stayed at a B&B there because we couldn't find anywhere to camp, and we'd saved a lot of money staying with strangers, and we've been given a little bit of money to camp. And so we stayed at B&B there. We stayed in the Highland room, which was absolutely posh and luxurious. You can see those photographs on our blog. And then we left there morning for our third big day in a row, which took us back to Niagara Falls. And it was really special again seeing them from a bicycle. Morning, because you're sitting quite high in the seat in comparison to a car, and so cycling down the road you could just see the waterfalls, and it was really beautiful. We stopped and got our photograph taken with our bicycles in the falls, of course, and then cycled on to the border. We had to get on the freeway to get across the bridge, but the cars were going quite slow because of the border, and we eventually get there, pushing our bikes in the car queues, and stupid dumb me, the border guard asked us how long will we be in America, and what she was meaning, I've worked out since, was how long will you be in the United States for this part of your trip. But of course I heard America as the whole continent, and I said 6 months, and 6 months in North America. And then she said back to me, and Sharon's my memories differ here, but I remember her saying back to me, North America is 2 countries, you know. But eventually we got through our little hoo-ha about what North America is and what America is, and she let us through but didn't stamp our passports, which is going to be a bit tricky when we get into Canada, or maybe not. And she tried to take our tomato off us for lunch, because apparently tomatoes aren't allowed in the United States from Canada. She took it out, looked at the plastic bag, looked at the tomato, fingered it a little, and said, go on, off you go. And so we went through and managed to have our tomato for lunch in a hospital car park. Cycle a little bit further, bam, thunderstorm hit us, lightning and just heavy rain. So we were partially ready for it. We'd seen it coming, so we had our jackets on. So we dived into the first open garage that we found, and then went up to the door, rang the doorbell and said, oh, by the way, we're parked in your garage and sheltering from the storm, is that okay? And the guy said, fine, yep. And he was kind of excited to have some Kiwis. He called us regular Joe cyclists. He kind of excited to have us and gave us a drink. He was working out of his home, selling firearms. He was an arms dealer and an arms manufacturer. And so while we were there, one bloke comes in, only for 5 minutes. They disappear into another room where all of a sudden you hear heavy gunfire coming from a stereo system, and then the guy walks back out and gets a piece of chocolate covered pizza and leaves again. Random, bizarre, but cool. And then from there we cycled on to a place called Lockport. Lock being locks on the canal, of course. And we were camping in a shelter by a marina there and just sitting down, and a guy called Joe and his dog called Oliver walk up, and we have a wee chat and went through the interview, and he invited us home to his house for the evening. So we got a shower there and fed us some really good steak. They've seen us, the next people. It's always a bit strange talking when you're passing people. Morning, morning.
Good morning.
Thank you. Whoops, and a bump. Yeah, so we stayed the night there, which was really nice. And he had to go to work in the morning, so he just let us lock up his house for him and say goodbye to his dog. And then we got on this fantastic canal. This was really pretty. Morning. And so then we cycled to a place called Middleport, and Middleport had an absolutely gorgeous cafe. I really encourage you all to go to the Middleport cafe. No idea what it was called. I'll stop here. There's a porta potty. And then we rode on to Brockport, which was a really nice place. It was our 100th day. Oh, this place is said to be the nation's breadbasket. It was our 100th day on the road. We celebrated that with a beer at a dodgy pub, and I got new mudguard or fenders put on our my bicycle. And then we camped at the marina that night, right on the towpath. Lots of drunk students walking past. It's their second weekend of college, and shower and internet there too. And now we're back on the bicycle heading towards Rochester, New York. So I think that's everything for this Saturday's version of the wee Wednesday Blether, and I really encourage people do this Erie Canal trip because it is absolutely gorgeous. Okay, catch you later. And that's some of the view. If you can see that, I don't know what you're seeing. And that way, just really spectacularly beautiful. Catch you later. Bye bye.